something that's just surreal, or is it feel kind of like a dream come true?
Yeah, it's definitely surreal. I first off, I never would have expected to be in this position. But at the same time, it's not a dream come true because it's something I honestly never dreamed of, never expected. Of course, during the race, it became more real, the prospect of actually winning the Vuelta, but I always tried to keep myself a bit distance from that thought because, yeah, so much can happen, and it's not that I didn't have confidence in myself, but yeah, like I said, it's something I never dreamed of, so I never set myself up for what I eventually accomplished.
When you looked back and you saw thousands of people riding behind you, did it feel real?
A little bit, because yeah, I think if I was in the same position as those Devo Junior kids on the front line, I would have been like, oh yeah, that's the local guy, you know. So yeah, it was I think just really special, and I hope I can be a good role model for the community and try and be as much a part of the community as possible while I live overseas and have my life over there, but I always feel part of the Durango community.
What inspired you to kind of shout out Durango while you were on the podium the day you won? I think you earned a lot of points for that.
Yeah, I think, you know, a lot of people just think Durango is a small town, far from any big cities, you know, in the mountains, but they don't really know what Durango is, and that you can't really explain in one speech, or yeah, you need to write a book about it. But yeah, I think I'm always grateful for Durango and what it's brought me just through the fact of living here. Never, yeah, how do I say it? Just by virtue of living in Durango, you already start at an advantage because you have so many outdoor opportunities. The community is so ingrained in outdoors and is, you know, it's all really good people. It's a really wholesome way to grow up, and yeah, you don't realize that until you are really part of the community or experience a bit of what Durango is. And yeah, I give at the basis of it all, Durango and its lifestyle, full credit for where I am now.
You mentioned role models. Tell us about your role models growing up here.
Yeah, I mean, I never had heroes in cycling per se. I appreciated riders that were exciting to watch, or the guys that we had in Durango, like Ned and Todd, Travis Brown, Troy Well, you know, all these guys that would come ride with us, but they were just normal dudes, and you know, but other than that, I think my biggest role model was Chad Cheney, who was a big part of the Durango Devo program, still is. But I think a lot of guys and kids in the program can say that Chad is one of their role models, just especially in the sense of yeah, the feeling, and it's just so unique, the way he sees life and sports is one of a kind.
That's his kid blowing a vuvuzela out there.
I got him in the background out the window right while you were talking about him. So.
His whole thing is never forget the feeling. Which what does that mean to you? What's the feeling for you?
Yeah, it's I guess it always changes a bit, but yeah, I was thinking today a bit about what that means to me, because I think it gets thrown around a lot, and it's a really beautiful phrase. But for me, it's like when I won the Vuelta in Madrid, I've already forgot that feeling, because that feeling was nothing for me, but it was very, very fleeting, because yeah, it's just a bike race. But the feelings that stay with me are the adventures I had on my bike leading up to that race, how I was able to push myself in training and the races, and just overall my enjoyment for riding a bike, which I felt the whole season, even more than any other seasons, and that's why I was able, I think, to do 3 Grand Tours. To win the 3rd one that I did was just from the wholesome nature of enjoying every day I had on the bike, and I never ever once in the season felt tired or beat down or demotivated. It was the opposite, just because I was loving the bike and experiencing new things, and for me that's the feeling that I will never forget. The wins and those emotions you remember, but they're not feelings that stay with you.
So what means more? Is it the Jumbo 3-peat or is it the Vuelta win?
Definitely the win, because it was something that was finally for me. Not that I wasn't proud of what I was able to do in the other Grand Tour wins, but in that Vuelta I learned a lot about myself, and I think it brought me to not a different level physically, which I think I always had, but just mentally realizing what I could do. Yeah.
I'm heading from here to Glenwood Springs tomorrow for the high school mountain bike championships, and you won that. And how do you look back at those days when you won that versus today?
Similar feeling, actually. I mean, yeah, whenever I could win a race, when I was just a junior in a Mountain States Cup or a high school championship or whatever, I always felt this same feeling as when I won the Tour or a stage in the Vuelta. It's you always surprise yourself, and that feeling of crossing the finish line first is special no matter what. Yeah.
When you went into the red jersey, I think national media started calling up Chad. Everybody's, looking to track down your folks. Did you have a sense those last 2 weeks that just like the craze in Durango of what was happening, and folks like Chad, getting all this media attention, but not just here, but nationally as well?
Yeah, a little bit. I think during races or maybe in my life in general, I'm a bit too in my own world, so sometimes I lose track of what's going on around me or in Durango. But I remember in the Vuelta, reading some of your articles, some articles in the Herald or national media or international media that would put a bit of focus on Durango, and yeah, when I learned about all the banners and signs they were putting up in town, it was really moving for me, because I never expected that level of not fame, but just of pride and whatever that everybody was showing in Durango, and yeah, for me that was really moving, and especially today was more emotional than crossing the finish line in Madrid or whatever, because it's just a bunch of people, but here it's all the people that I care about.
When you're climbing through the fog or any of those pretty iconic moments from this year, do you ever have flashbacks to any time from your youth here, or are you just kind of locked in those moments and listening to the earpiece?
Yeah, I think it's I'm pretty enveloped in those moments and just being in the moment, but just through growing up in Durango and racing and going to all these different, you know your body so well from just living in sports and doing different sports, and so many sensations from skiing, from running, from doing mountain bike races at 10,000 feet, which your body just has so many signals, and so I think that's what I can always draw from in those moments in the race.
What would you say to the kids in the program about like the keys to becoming a world-class cyclist?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds a bit cliche, but keep it fun. But I think it's really hard now in professional sports, and specifically professional cycling, because there's so many really young riders that are already at the level of a seasoned professional that's winning races. So I think it's much more difficult for them now than it was for me, because now the references or the idols in cycling are 19 and 20-year-olds. When I was 19 or 20, I was having fun with my friends, riding a couple times a week. I can't imagine already training like a professional at that stage. But with that said, I think it also gave me a lot of mental energy that I still have left to give, because still in this sport, everything is new for me. Every year I learn something new. Every year I'm getting better. Whereas if I had been training like a professional since I was 15, I don't, for one, I wouldn't be in this position now, but I would I would not be enjoying it. So I think the biggest message I can say is to not overthink it, not take things too seriously. Just find your calling in cycling or sports. It doesn't have to be cycling. You can be a snooker player or whatever, but find what it is that makes you tick and go with that.
So I don't know if you saw it, but on the podium at the Durango Derby, the guys, some of which I think you grew up riding, right, did like a little cheers and chug in your honor. So now that you've got the Vuelta checked off the list, you got to ask, next year you're coming back to win the Derby, right?
It'd be nice. I'll pencil that one in.
Career goals have reset.
I've got the Iron Horse earmarked in the spring. No.
Come on,
The
Hashtag
Derby might be a
right
bit easier to squeeze in, but no, I was talking to Howard and he said they tried to chug the champagne and it was just too carbonated. So I think I was lucky. I got a dud bottle or something.
So you did chug it. I keep getting asked this. You actually chugged the champagne.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
weren't, like,
Yeah,
making
yeah.
it?
And it was
No,
actually
no.
champagne.
Yeah, it was not alcohol free. It was the real deal.
That's it. Everybody, oh, it's like, apple, whatever.
Did you learn that in Durango or Boulder?
Boulder for sure. Yeah. just keep up in Boulder.
That's a hill trick.
Yeah.
To return to having fun, I'm one of the few people who's smart enough to go ride around Silverton.
Yeah.
You're also one of those people. Ben Sontag also is one of those.
Yeah.
Was one of those persons. And I think up until 2020, I was still seeing you glissade down Andoran glaciers with your mountain bike. That play seems pretty antithetical to the Jumbo-Visma MO. Even like a lot of your personality as someone who's American and somewhat Spanish at this point seems antithetical to the Dutch persona. How does that pairing work for you? As someone who is really built on playing and built on adventure and who lives in Spain.
Yeah.
How does that match up with this very, for lack of a better word, Dutch organization?
Yeah. No, it's a good question. I mean, I think from the outside, it's this very, overly well-oiled machine. Everything has a purpose and this and that, and it's true. Everything, every detail is scrutinized. They're always striving for, better is not good enough. Everything has to be even better every single year. Every single detail is, in my opinion, sometimes over scrutinized, but it's that's on the surface. But I think behind the team, it's a organization where I feel very understood as a human being, and they know that I'm not like let's say a majority of the road racers that have had this normal road cycling upbringing and maybe see cycling in a different way that I do, and they know what I get out of cycling, out of training. They know that I don't need to weigh my rice and my pasta at home. I just live my life, and they know that I'm going to come to the race and be in good shape and be happy, and so that's I think what a lot of people don't see
just like
that's going
the
on
human
behind this.
understanding.
Exactly.
Like
Yeah.
that they do understand what makes you tick, even if
Yeah.
that's different from what
Exactly.
they feel is the most efficient.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What do you feel is a responsibility to American cycling?
I don't know. No responsibility really. Just
Or do you feel like it's is that a tough place to be, the head of the, head of the pack, so to speak, in American cycling?
yeah, a bit. I think because let's say the general audience in the U.S. it's not that they're harder to please, but they have maybe a bit. I don't mean it in a negative way, but a bit less of a nuanced understanding of cycling, the cycling calendar. And you get a lot of questions like, oh, why aren't you a GC rider, or this and that? Oh, are you going to win the Tour? And it's like, well, of course I would love to, but there's a lot more to cycling, and it's hard to explain. Like, oh yeah, there's also value in being a good teammate. There's other races than the Tour de France, so that's always a bit hard to break through. But yeah, it's I just want to be a good role model and have good values, and that's the basis of it.
Do you see yourself coaching back here at Devo?
Yeah, I would love to. I mean, yeah, I've always thought after my career to do some. I really like the physiology and everything of cycling. But at the same time, I know how important it is to develop cyclists in the way that Devo, the way that Devo does.
Yeah.
It's hard to say what kind of avenue I would want to take that. But I think the main thing is just being there and having the kids see that you're just a normal human being.
So after the last few months, like, do career goals change for you? Do they open up, wider, or for you is it still kind of the same, as it has been the last few years?
Definitely. I mean, now I know that I'm capable of winning a Grand Tour, and that definitely gives me a lot of confidence. I know that I can take my body to that level, and also my mind to that level. I can survive the 3 weeks of pressure and everything. But I also realized that when I won the Vuelta, I was in a really unique situation where I never went into the race feeling any expectation, any leadership pressure. I just did my best every day. And if in the end I had failed, nobody would have faulted me. But if you go into a race with that pressure, then it's a lot different. So I think it's finding the balance where I can get the most out of myself from that mental standpoint. But for sure, it gives me more ambitions to try and do it again. I think there's a lot of factors that go into that.
Is it more difficult for you to go out and eat in peace in Durango right now, or Spain?
No, it's pretty easy in Durango. People, I think in Durango it's like it always, you know almost everybody anyways, and people just say, "Oh, Sepp, like long time no see." It's not like, "Whoa,
what you been up to?"
Yeah. So it depends. I mean, not to say one is better than the other, but yeah, Durango is always Durango. So I always feel just like Sepp, the Durango kid, rather than Sepp the cyclist.
Did you have any moments with Quinn at the Tour de France where you were like, man, this is pretty cool, two Durango kids at the Tour de France?
Yeah, we always chill kind of at the back of the peloton on the easy days, so we always chat, and it's fun because we're definitely different kind of riders, but it's fun to share stories of the stages I suffer a lot, he's in his element, and the stages that he suffers a lot, I'm more in my element. So, but it's really unique that both of us are from Durango. But,
I guess I have a question that's a little more for like the niche cycling aspect.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously you've been on vacation and a lot has been going on.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to relitigate that, but obviously you've done a lot with Primoz Roglic.
Yeah.
And he's on his way out of the team, and that happened all after the Vuelta. Reflecting on your career with Roglic, what has he meant to you, and what do you think it's going to be like next year as you ride with, obviously, Vingegaard, who's arguably the best in the world, and all those other riders, but that person who was the origin maybe is gone.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, first of all, I think Primoz brought our team to the level it is now. He really pushed everyone in the team to be their best, and that just doing well enough wasn't sufficient. And I think he brought everyone to a higher level. Also myself, I learned a lot through him, not necessarily from him teaching me things, but just how he developed as a rider and what he learned. If your leader makes a mistake and you see him correct that mistake in a later race, you also learn from that. And so just seeing how he is as a racer now from when he first started and we were supporting him in the Grand Tours is really valuable, and I would give him most of the credit from the rider's side, bringing the team to the level it is now. But yeah, I think it's better for everybody that he's on a different team. I think now he can go to a team and feel the support that he feels he deserves and has everyone behind him. Yeah.
So on a more personal level, it seems like this year's had a lot of learning experiences.
Yeah.
Obviously you had 3 months worth of Grand Tour racing. You did your best ever result in a Grand Tour, and you had to, it seems from the outside, like almost change your mentality when it came to cycling. What are you looking forward to next year with all of this knowledge gained in 2023?
Yeah, I think it depends on what situation I'm in. I think if I'm trying to win the race, I've learned I need to be a bit more cutthroat, more more selfish, if you will. You really have to just focus on you, and for better or for worse. Because I think there's a lot of situations I put myself in the Vuelta where I was still in the mindset of a teammate or a guy that didn't have that killer instinct, and it still worked for me, and I was proud of how I did it and how I handled it. But I also realize that a lot of the, let's say, winners have a different mentality than me, and I have to find that balance without losing who I am as a person. The second part of the...
Just what are you looking forward to next year?
Oh yeah. It's hard to say. I don't know so much of my schedule, but I think the thing I'm most looking forward to is going to the Vuelta, being the defending champion, and also going to the Tour, doing my best there, whether it's for myself or for Jonas. It's always it's not my favorite race, the Tour, but it's the biggest race, and it's important.
The Tour is the Tour, yeah?
Yeah, but the Vuelta I have a special feeling for, and just being at the start there with the number one, it will be really cool, and we'll see what happens. But just knowing that I can do it gives me a lot.
Is that what you're going to advocate for when you sit down with management? So I want to do the Vuelta again. Is that the thing?
Yeah. Well, I mean that's always my.
That's just my wife.
boss is calling.
Telling me to come home.
I think even last year the original plan was to do the Tour and the Vuelta, and it's always a combination that works well for me. Also because I'm happy to, given the circumstance, be in a more helper role in the Tour, because depending on the route, it's not ideal for me. Last year was a bit of an exception. It was a pretty good route for me, and just by virtue of doing my job, I was, with the best guys in the GC for a while not really even thinking about it. So we'll see what the route is like in the Tour. Maybe in the Tour, it's something that I can go for, but I think the Vuelta is more suited to me generally, the parcourse wise.
I mean, you guys like a co-leader thing. Do you think management sees you that way now? Is you go in with Jonas and really go for a Tour de France?
Yeah, I think why not? Because I think I can stay more concentrated in the race if I'm thinking, okay, yeah, Sepp, don't just let off so easy, Like my wife, every race, she says, yeah, but don't just lose 20 minutes in one stage, because you never know, like half the peloton might get COVID, and then, and I'm like, yeah, but I'm not going to win anyways, it doesn't matter. But she's like, yeah, but you never know. So like, but in the Vuelta also already, in the first stages, like, oh, I'm gonna lose as much time as I can, just save every ounce of energy, and then I felt good, so I was like, why would I just lose time for the sake of losing time? So I think being in the GC role, or shadow GC role, keeps me more mentally sharp, and of course I want to win or do my best, and being in that let's say shadow leader role is, I think, a good middle ground for me.
Like Logan was saying, that's a definite mindset shift for you. Did Jonas and Primoz help you through that at the Vuelta this year? That sort of shift from who you were to who you are?
Yeah, I think Jonas especially, really, he's more of a verbal leader anyway, so it's more his nature, but he really coached me in certain situations when I needed to be at the front, just from his experience, winning 2 tours in a row, you have to be really sharp every day, and he really helped me stay on top of things where I'm normally kind of checked out. So
was he ever like, you gotta want it? You sit in a hotel room, you gotta want it, Sepp, that kind of thing? Give you the pep talk?
No, not so much pep talk, but I think I definitely wanted it, but
Mm-hmm.
Last question for me about the team. Matteo Jorgensen's coming in.
Yeah.
Obviously a really talented American from a different town in the Mountain West, but still has a lot of those background in camping and things like that. Are you looking forward to having another American around? Obviously, he's an incredibly strong rider and seems like he'll fit the team build perfectly, but it must be nice to just have someone who has an American accent kicking around.
Yeah, definitely. I think, I don't know him so well because I never was in the, U.S. development program or whatever during the same years as him. But we always chat in the race, and he's a really, really good guy, and I think he fits the team really well. He's really, he's a rider that appreciates the process of getting better regardless of the results. And I think he's going to be a really, really strong rider for us, and for me, for sure, he's going to be a good companion, and he's also in a similar situation. He was on Movistar, a team with definitely not a American culture, let's say. So I think we kind of come from similar backgrounds or understandings of our teams or previous teams.
Sepp, I'm kind of 2 years removed from following you on a daily basis, but where do the Olympics kind of factor in for you?
I haven't had like a real detailed look at the course, but I don't think it's the best for me. It's kind of punchy, classic style race. Of course, it would be cool to do the Olympics, but it's not something that's really on my radar, especially if I do the Tour and the Vuelta. Then I think the Olympics would definitely be out of the question, just because it just takes a few days of preparation and takes even more of recovery from such a hard one-day race. So yeah, maybe wait till Los Angeles. Maybe they'll make a nice mountainous route in the Santa Monica Hills or up north. Yeah.
Last question here, guys. He's hungry. He's got a burger
Oh,
over
no
there
worries.
waiting for him. and everything. Tell us about the role Sweet Elite played in your career.
Yeah, big role because I think it was the first taste we all had of what it meant to be on, let's say, a pro team. You know, with the bikes, the organization, material support, and going or having the ability to go to bigger races. And yeah, it was really cool. I think for all of us, it was like, well, we get this many jerseys and chamois, and it was really cool. And that was, I think for me, it was motivating. It was like, oh, it's something that is really unique and something I never experienced before. Just getting hand-me-down parts and whatever, using my mom's bike until I was ready to move on to the next size. I think at the same time it kept us humble. It was still really rooted in the philosophy of Devo, and it wasn't like everything was just given to us. We still had to travel together in the van, camp out in the parking lot, everything, but it was just a glimpse into what it would be like to be on a big team.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for waiting.